Westchester County Executive Rob Astorino, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing very, very well. Now, tell the worldwide audience here, and we've talked about this before a few years back. Tell the worldwide audience here what happened to your community.
Well, you were talking about it last night about Baltimore County now being roped in by the federal government. And we were the canary in the coal mine, and I've been saying this since I took office in January of 2010. I inherited a settlement that Westchester, my Democratic predecessor, agreed to with HUD. And at the time, the Assistant Secretary of HUD called it the Grand Experiment. Well, he is now, and they are now taking this nationwide, and what they're doing is they are linking, in their view, discrimination that, quite frankly, does not exist that we have found or that they have claimed, but they have not backed it up, that they equate discrimination, segregation, et cetera, with zoning. And let me be clear, discrimination will not be tolerated, not in Westchester, and there's laws against that going back to the 60s and housing discrimination, et cetera. But zoning and discrimination are not the same thing. Zoning permits or prohibits what can be built and where, not who lives there. What HUD is doing is through statistics, if one community or one county is statistically too white for HUD's liking, what they do then is come in or can come in and say, we don't like the makeup of your community. Obviously, segregation and discrimination exists with no facts to back it up or no proof. And so you need to do this, the other thing, including they take away federal grants. They may bring in the Department of Justice to sue communities. And so this is what we're dealing with. And Mark, I got to tell you, the founders of our nation understood that successful governance in a democracy absolutely depends on the consent of the governed. And in return for the people's consent, the founders then set limits on government, and that's why we got checks and balances to control the use of power. But right now what we have is a runaway regulatory dictatorship in Washington and social engineering, and they're doing it through intimidation. They're doing it through attacks on people's, character. My county, Westchester, which is the northern suburb of New York, we border New York City. Hillary Clinton lives in Westchester County, in Chappaqua.
Congratulations.
Well, in many ways, I'd like to keep her living in the county for the following 8 years, so she's not living in the White House. But Hillary Clinton lives here, and Westchester and her town, the town of Newcastle, which also is the home of Andrew Cuomo, the governor and former HUD secretary. This is the epicenter of the battle that HUD is accusing Westchester and her town of being discriminatory and segregated. Now, people can go to my website, robastorino.com, and just scroll down a little bit. There's a news report that Fox did last year. I stood outside Hillary Clinton's home, and I demanded her to come outside, and she was home, to come outside and say, for the record, whether she believes that the town and county she lives in, which is under assault by HUD, is discriminatory. And if it is, then why is she living there? And if it's not, then why isn't she speaking out against these policies, which are now going national? And thankfully, there's some in Congress, Peter King of New York, Paul Gosar from Arizona, and others who are trying to defund HUD and their regulations that are spreading across the country.
Where does it stand now with Westchester County and the federal Leviathan?
Well, the settlement requires the county to build, similarly to what Baltimore County is going through now. We have to build 750 units of, by HUD's definition, low-income housing in 31 white communities based on the census of 2000, by the way. There's been a massive change in Westchester naturally in the last 16 years. Big increases in the Hispanic population and the African-American population. In fact, we're the fourth most diverse county in all of New York, believe it or not, and that's still not good enough for HUD. And so we are well ahead of...
Are you more diverse than Martha's Vineyard?
Yeah, most certainly we are. Yes, we are.
Are you more diverse than Aspen, Colorado?
Oh, absolutely.
Are you more diverse than, the community where Obama vacations in Hawaii?
Absolutely, and Vermont, which is 99% white.
That would be Bernie Sanders, as I recall.
That's correct.
No, you're wrong. It's 70% white and 30% translucent. Go right ahead.
Well, so what they're trying to do is attack and impugn and malign and intimidate. And we have pushed back and said, no. We'll do what's in that settlement, what's required, which was court-ordered, and a settlement agreed by my predecessor and HUD. But then they keep writing back to us along the way, trying to change unilaterally the settlement, forcing us to all of a sudden add 3 bedrooms and double the cost. And then they bring up this study by Rutgers from 15 years ago, which was never even adopted, which required 10,000 units of affordable housing.
Gee whiz.
And yeah, no, it's just crazy, nonsensical. And the monitor, who gets paid $1,050 an hour courtesy of the taxpayers of Westchester, who, and here's the kangaroo court that the rest of the country can start looking forward to, in Baltimore County, enjoy this. The monitor who worked for the Brennan Center for Justice is hired by HUD and can be fired by HUD. He serves at their pleasure, and yet he's supposed to be the referee. So now he's going after me personally.
Oh, really?
Yes, he is, and we're going.
The referee is going after you personally.
He's doing HUD's bidding, and so we're going back to court, and he's trying to silence me as an elected official in saying that I don't have the right under the settlement, which is insane. I don't have the right to react or speak up on behalf of the county or my constituents, which would be a dereliction of my duty if I didn't, warning people in the United States and warning people in Westchester of what HUD is trying to do unilaterally. And so, believe it or not, we have to go to court on this nonsense. But this is a major, major First Amendment issue.
All right, let me ask you this quickly because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
So your Democrat predecessor locked you into this deal. Were you able to pull out, or have you been able to go to court to undo any of this?
No, not undo it. And we have said, look, just let us finish this, and it should end up by the end of this year. But along the way, all they kept doing is adding new nonsense, harassing us, and trying to make us do far more than what's in the actual settlement. And that's where we have said absolutely not. They didn't expect us to fight back. We are. We're winning in federal courts, and we're not going to put up with it. And the reason why everyone in America needs to know this is because it is coming to your community or your county next, which is what we've warned. And now Baltimore, they did it in Marin County. They're doing it in other areas. And this is just social engineering. It's dictatorship. It's by fiat. And, you know, if Hillary Clinton gets elected, this absolutely will continue for another 4 or 8 years. And before you know it, the neighborhood you live in, which will not have zoning regulations because HUD thinks that height, density, acreage, even quarter acre.
Wealth.
Yeah. Is
all right, Rob, I got to go. If you have a website, if people want to hit it, what is it again?
RobAstorino.com, and go to the video and watch it. It'll tell you all about it.
RobAstorino.com. God bless you, my friend. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark.
All right. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.